How you guys doing? Good. All right. So this is our last workshop of 2017. We don't have one next month because of the holidays and everything. So we'll be sure to see you in January. We look forward to that, where I do the same topic every single year in January, which is how to make more money this year than you did last year. And every single time I stand in front of the room and I always ask people, because I look around and I say, were you here last year in January? And because I always ask, who's going to rehab a house this year? And they all raise their hand. And my favorite part is when I say, leave your hand up if you were sitting right where you were a year ago and you didn't rehab a house. There's always a bunch of people. And then there's some people that have rehabbed 3 houses. So it's really easy to sit back and say, well, I'm going to plan it. I want to wait for the perfect deal. It's going to be exactly right. And when I find that one and there's the sunbeam is shining right down on it and the stars are aligned, that's when I'll get started. And you got other people that don't really know what they're doing, and they're going out. They did 3 deals. They made $20,000 on each one of them. And they're like, what the heck are you guys waiting for? So we encourage you to get started. This is a great time of year to buy houses. It's a great time of year to buy bigger rehab houses too, so you can be working on properties. It's really easy to get contractors for inside jobs in the winter, so it's a great time to buy. We always have properties available for you. If you don't know who I am, my name is Gary Bailey. I started Build in 2008, and I used to be a full-time real estate investor as a rehabber for a number of years. Really enjoyed it, but I actually like this a lot better. So what we do is that we don't sell classes or coaching or books or tapes or anything like that. We give you all the resources that you need to be successful as a real estate investor. And we want to provide you with all the resources that you'll need, such as properties and financing. Those are the 2 things that we do charge for. Because like Chris said, the more successful that you guys are, the more successful that we're going to be. Because honestly, we don't really make very much per house. So we depend on you buying houses over and over from us. Just to give you an idea of the type of numbers that we do, we're not a little mom and pop shop. This year, we'll close over 200 houses. Already this year, we've closed 190 houses so far this year. So we've got a lot of stuff going on. Lots of people are buying houses from us. We would encourage you to become our next customer. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. This is a topic that I've done in years past. We try to update it with more current information. And again, all the information that I'm going to give you will all be available online. If you registered online, you're going to get an email tomorrow with a link to a section of our website that nobody else can see unless you've been to one of the workshops. And it'll eventually have the video this month. That'll come out in about a couple weeks. But it'll have a lot of resources on there that I talk about tonight. I'll reference some different tools and things. You'll get an email and you can download all that stuff tomorrow. And you can also get a link to the slides as well. So if you're somebody who really likes to copiously take notes, you can do that, but you don't have to if you don't want to. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. So we're going to go through how to plan your rehab from start to finish. And we typically find that investors who, have you heard the saying, right? If you fail to plan, right, then you're planning to fail. But it's so important. That's the most important part of the entire rehab. Beyond kitchens or baths or the right type of tile or making sure you have a heated floor or whatever else you want to do, more important than anything else is some type of a plan. It's the easiest thing you can do. It's way easier than doing demo. It's way easier than doing a lot of the other things. But unfortunately, it's a part of the rehab that everybody skips over because it seems so easy. It seems so well, I'll just kind of figure it out as I go along. So most investors completely skip this process because they think, well, I'll just get through the rehab. I'll figure it out as I go. It'll probably be okay. But the end result is that a lot of investors, when they go over by at least $10,000 or $15,000. See, one of the advantages that we have is that we get to see everybody in their rehabs and how they all go. And I would be lying to you if I told you that every single person was a successful real estate investor. Just like out in the open market, not everyone can successfully rehab houses. Now, we like to think that we move the needle a little bit with the resources that we have, but the bottom line is, not to call anybody a horse, but the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, right? But you can't make them drink. We're not going to do the rehab for you. Our job is to get you into a deal that's with good numbers, where you know that even if you mess up, you'll still do okay. But if you're going to go and over-improve the property or not have any type of a plan at all, there's not a whole lot we can do to help you. So we can help you map out the whole rehab from start to finish on a weekly basis in a phased rehab. So I'm going to kind of teach you the stuff that we teach our agents on how to help you guys. I'm going to teach you that stuff tonight. The idea is you'll be able to take this and you can map out your next rehab and plan it out. Or you can look back at your last rehab and say, where the heck did it go wrong, right? So hopefully that's not the case. All right, so number one reason why people don't plan, why they don't sit down and do the plan, is because they feel like they're too busy or they just really don't have enough time. The fact is, it will take a lot of time to do this. You go out to the property, it's going to take you at least 2 hours to walk through it and get everything mapped out, and then you're going to come home, it's probably going to take you another 2 or 3 hours to do all this. You're looking at least 5 to 8 hours to plan this. The good news is that when you're planning it, ideally it's going to be that period of the time between where you contract the property and when you close. Because that's the only point in the whole project where the property is not costing you a dime. Right? So take advantage of that. It's free time. Go out there. You're never too busy. Right? You're never too busy. On average, real estate investors go over $10,000 on their budget. $10,000. And it's really easy to do. Right? You got $500 here, $1,000 over here, $2,000 over here. A lot of times it's at the end when they skip something and they end up selling the house for $5,000 less than what they thought because they didn't think it really needed a new furnace when it did. So if you plan your stuff at the beginning and you take the time, so I told you right now it's going to take 5 hours, maybe 8 hours, and you'll save yourself potentially $10,000. If I said, hey, I will write you a check for $10,000 if you give me 8 hours of your time to plan at your rehab, no one would not take that deal, right? So I'm going to challenge you to say, how busy are you really? If you're too busy to make up a plan, then you're probably too busy to manage your rehab. So take the time. It's difficult. It's tedious. You'll be so glad that you did. And you know what? The hardest time it'll be is the first time you do it. Then after that, you'll go and do it again, and you'll do it again and be way easier. The common theme that we see between the people that do really, really well and the people that don't is that the people who do really well, they have a plan. If they don't have a plan, then maybe they just kind of got lucky. One of our most successful real estate investors, she's on her third house now. On her second project, we shared her as a success story last month. She doesn't swing a hammer. She has a full-time job. She doesn't even live in the state. But she maps out a plan, comes into town every couple weeks to check on her rehabs. She cleared over $100,000 on her rehab. Right. I had lunch with one of my investors today, one of my oldest investors. He's done tons of rehabs. He's a realtor. He's an expert. He knows exactly what he's doing. And I told him that. He's like, Gary, I've been investing in real estate for 15 years. I've never made $100,000. Never. But it's because he's super picky with his houses. He's got to find exactly that right deal. So you're never too busy is the lesson, what I'm telling you. If you plan, you can get really big payoffs. The other thing, you might be thinking that it's not really that important. You're like, I got it all figured out. I'm an expert. I've been to like 4 build workshops. That's pretty much all I need. I'm good, right? No, it truly, truly is important. It's really the most important part of the whole process. The other thing is that they feel like, I don't really know what I should be planning. And that's really a big part of it. Say, okay, yeah, all right, let's make a plan. Okay, buy a house. And then rehab house. And then sell house. And go on vacation. There's my plan, right? So tonight, I'll give you exactly some things to plan. It's not complicated. You know me, I'm a super simple guy. If it's too complicated with math and software and all that, I don't like it. We're going to give you something really simple we gave you a free tool tonight that you can use to plan your whole rehab right here. Can you imagine how much money went into developing the original ink pen? Probably what? Hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So here you are. This is the result of engineering marvel right here, a pen and some paper. That is all you need to plan your rehab, and that's exactly what we're going to teach you tonight. All right, here's the advantage of planning. Specific things, specific advantages of planning your rehab. Number one, is that it's going to help you save time during the rehab. Even if you're a full-time real estate investor. But for those of you who aren't, you've got your job, you've got your family, you've got other things going on in your life, right? So it's going to help you save time. So instead of, because think about it, remember the 5 to 8 hours it's going to take you? If you don't do it, you're just redistributing that, right? I used to always say, I'm just messing over future Gary. You're just borrowing from future you is all you're doing. So you're saying, I'm not going to take this 8 hours, so we're just going to sprinkle it in 10 and 15 minute chunks at the worst possible times ever, all throughout the whole rehab is what's going to happen. It's going to take that amount of time. You might as well control that block of time and sit down and dedicate it and do it yourself. So avoid the on-the-fly rehab, right? Kind of planning as you go. That's like you got a train going down the tracks. You're just trying to lay the tracks down as the train's going. Avoid that. The other thing is it's going to serve as some type of a reference point. You can't be there all the time. You can't be there all the time. So you're at work. And you know that you've got, here's a great example. This is an actual example. We give a written scope to the contractor and said, here it is. And you'll see my scopes. They're handwritten. They're super simple. It says, buy this kind of tile. Here's a SKU number for it. Here's the name of it. Here's where to go. Verified that it's there the weekend before. Here, buy this tile. They go there. Check the tile. 2 days later, go inside. He calls me up. Gary, yeah, it's this type of tile, right? Yeah, it's this type of tile. I know because I'm looking at my sheet that I have. Otherwise, I just kind of have to remember, right? So then I go out to the house 2 days later, and guess what? It's the wrong kind of tile. There's like a gray and there's a brown. But because I had planned and I had it written down, I at least had a point of reference. Otherwise, I may not have remembered it. But guess what? It was different than what was on the floor. He bought the gray for the floor and the brown for the wall, but it was the same tile, right? So it gives you a point of reference, a guide to go on, because I had it planned. I had that materials as part of what you'll plan. I had the materials picked out. So I knew exactly what he should be putting in at that time. Now, I made him go in and rip it all out. He didn't like that very much, but he bought the wrong kind of tile. So you have to have some type of a point of reference. So you also have to say, well, I think it's going well, but it feels like it's taking longer. Well, if you don't assign a specific amount of time to it, it's going to take as much time as you let it go, right? Have you always heard that saying? That a job will automatically expand the amount of time and the amount of money that you allot to it, right? So if you don't have a deadline, you just want to kind of get it done whenever, well, that's how long it'll take. It's not like, oh man, I messed up and we finished 3 weeks ahead of schedule and $10,000 under budget. It doesn't work like that, does it? It always drifts and it grows. It creeps out. But we're going to help you put together a scope. We're going to help you prevent that from happening. I'm going to pass these out right now for the next part that I'm going to talk about. Andy talked a little about scoping and stuff. If you could, the former teacher in me is coming out. Just take some of these and pass them back if you could. I'll reference these in a little bit. All right. So having a plan. Here's some advantages. And then we're going to jump into scope. 1, it's going to reduce your stress, right? So you're going to be less stressed if you have a plan and you know what you're doing. The plan that you're passing out, oh, can I actually have one of those? Does somebody want to? It's a rookie mistake right there. All right, thank you. So if you have a plan and what you're receiving is a scope sheet that we can help you do if you buy a property from us, where we map out the rehab and your budget on a weekly basis throughout the entire project. So having that's going to really reduce your stress. The other thing it's going to do is going to give you a target and a path to get there. You say, okay, I'm going to get done in this amount of time, and these are all the steps in the meantime. And if something goes wrong, you can adjust it. If you don't have a plan, I'm not saying that something bad is going to happen. I'm just saying that something could happen. If you don't have a plan, though, you're going to end up, your rehab, you know you need a plan if you know that your rehab is going to taking longer than it should. Right? Like, man, this thing's taking forever. Well, how long did you allot for it? Well, I just wanted to get it done before now. You might have trouble lining up contractors, right? You know you have trouble getting people there at the right time. You know you can't call a contractor up and say, hey, it's Friday. I need you to come in and put some tile down for me on Monday. Well, you probably, if he's available on Monday and you call him on Friday, he probably isn't any good, right? Because he's available. The real good contractors are usually a week or two out. So you might call them Friday to come look at the job the next week, and then hopefully start the week after that. So as a result, you can end up paying more money just to get somebody out there, and you're selling the house for less because the quality of work isn't that good. Even if you have somebody like Andy that you can call who'll get you somebody. So a lot of times too, like the example I used with the tile, the contractor ends up picking out materials themselves because you didn't have a material list. And when I'm talking about materials, I'm talking about like selections, like cabinets. I mean, he's not going to call you up and say, right when you're getting ready at work and you're getting ready to walk into the most important meeting of the day, that's when you're going to get the call from the contractor. Hey, I'm at Home Depot right now. They're out of those one cabinets you wanted, so I was just going to get these other ones. They look pretty much the same. Okay, yeah, sure, go ahead. Right, no, they're always going to pick something different. So you end up with materials that don't exactly fit your vision of the house. So you can also miss important changes in the market. This was a great example years ago when they did that first-time home buyer incentive, and all that did was just pull all the buyers early. So we had a lot of investors that bought houses from us right at the beginning of that, and that expired, and then the market just went, whew. So you missed important changes in the market. Maybe you buy a house in the winter hoping to have it on the market for spring, but you take extra long and then you miss spring, and then summer comes along, you go on vacation, the fall comes, the next thing you know you're not listing it until Thanksgiving, which isn't the best time. Right? Black Friday doesn't always work for houses, just for appliances. Okay? So buy a house now, get it ready for the spring. So there's a lot of different things that can happen. All right, let me give you some tips on planning. And I'm going to give you some specifics here. So number one, you want to keep it really, really simple. I mean, you can go in and download some fancy software and map everything out and say, okay, all right, I've got it all planned out, and I know that on December 16th, we're going to be putting in the tile in the upstairs bathroom. And it's all going to work out like that, right? No, it's not going to work out like that. You need something that's just really, really simple. Okay, number one, keep it really, really simple. You need something that you're going to use. So no matter what the project is that you use, what software or system or tool, as long as you use it, then that's the best one. It's really easy to sit down and download apps and things and all this stuff because there's a bunch of stuff out there. But if you're not going to stick with it, then what good is it really, right? So the tools that we use Microsoft Excel. And you're going to get an email tomorrow if you registered. You'll get an email with a link to download this very scope sheet right here. We will also get, since I heard him mention that, we emailed out sample contracts and things like that for the contractors. Since Andy was harping on that so hard, I would feel bad if I didn't send them to you. But I'll go and send that link out as well. I'll send you what it is. It's a section on the website that you can only get to if you've been to the workshops. So it's got our contracts on there that we recommend that you use. It's got change order forms. It's got everything on there completely for free. So you can download that. They're great to use. But you'll get this as well. All right, here's the components of an effective rehab plan. So you've got to have, number one, you've got to have a vision. You've got to know what the house looks like. If you were here last month, you saw we taught you about some different tools and things. House.com, just all different kinds of things you can use to really build a vision of really what you want the house to look like. That's really, really important. And again, remember, you're designing the property for the buyer, not for yourself. So it may not be something that you like, but if you want to go with what the market is doing right now. Our demographics of our customers have changed, but early on, for whatever reason, and if you're a middle-aged man, I'm not trying to offend you, but we had a lot of middle-aged men or upper middle-aged men, and they're like, oh, well, we want this, we want that. We said, listen, why don't you have your wife come and help you pick out the materials? Because the rehab started getting a little weird. You're designing it for your market, for the customers. They're the ones that are going to buy it, right? So just because you like it, you may not like it, right? But you look at the comps and look at the area and see what's selling. And if you buy a property from us, we'll take you through. I mean, our customers probably have 60 or 70 rehabs going on right now. So we probably have 30 or 40 houses on the market right now that are rehab. Your sales associate could take you to all these different houses and look at all the different finishes and selections. One of our sales associates will even take you to Home Depot and walk you around. I wouldn't do that, but I believe in teaching you how to fish and not fishing for you, right? But my point is this: build a vision of what you want the property to look like. I like this one. This was the last rehab I did. This was a couple years ago. It's kind of cool. It was in Pleasant Ridge, which I wish I had bought it 3 years later, because Pleasant Ridge is really, really hot right now. It's crazy. Everybody, it's like they can't afford Oakley, or they can't even get a house in Oakley, so now everything's going over in Pleasant Ridge, and Kennedy Heights is just booming right now. Booming right now. All right, so you've got the vision. The other thing you need to have is some type of a budget. If you buy a property from us, all of our houses have a detailed rehab breakdown. So we have a budget in about 11 different categories. If you want, I'll give you a little inside secret. We don't include them in our packets, but you can ask your sales associate for a detailed rehab breakdown, which is the math of how we come up with the budget. So we use a standard pricing guide, and it's very complicated because it's priced based on the area, it's priced on quality, and so if you're looking at a house and you're saying, okay, this budget looks good, but I really want to see where all this goes, they can give you a detailed breakdown. Material list. If you were here last month, and you probably got an email that has this sheet that we sent out, where it's a template for putting a material list. So material list is important. The more important thing than material list, I mean, you don't need to know every single little screw that you're going to buy, but the selections are really important. So understanding things like what type of flooring do you want to use, what type of cabinets are you going to use, countertops. And again, if you work with buy property from us, your sales associate will help you with all of that stuff. They are very, very passionate about rehabbing houses, and they can see. I mean, that's all they talk about. It's really cool. They're really, really into it, and they really, really have helped a ton of you guys. And we'd love to see you take advantage of that. Okay, phased rehab schedule. And this is what I'm going to talk about right now. So this is what you have in your hand. This is generated in Excel. And it basically takes this budget, which you'll see on all of our packets, and it lays it onto a timeline and then separates out materials and labor by week. We did this years ago for a number of our cash investors because they said, well, you know, I got X amount of dollars. How much money am I going to need every week to kind of keep this thing going? And so we sat down and we did a whole scope of work. And then we took each one of those items and we laid it into this sheet. So if you see, and you guys all have it, so I'll just kind of read from this here. So the first phase, we started with the exterior, and we said, okay, it's going to take about 2 weeks. And here on the left, we have what we're going to do. So on the top, we've got roof replacement, and it's $4,000. So we know that's going to last between weeks 1 and week 2. So it's going to take between 1 to 2 weeks. And the next thing is going to be the landscaping. Remove, rebuild, and then build the deck. And so it's got all the different items for the exterior. So it said, look, we're going to spend a total of $7,000 on the exterior. The next part is the demo, and then the HVAC, and then the rough it. So each one of these has it broken down by individual item about how long it's going to take. And then on the right, we've got it separated between labor, materials, and installed. So installed would be like a roof, right? You're probably not going to go out and buy a pallet of shingles and bring it to the house. So you're just going to hire the roofer. The roofer's going to get the shingles because they can buy it cheaper than you can. So that would be installed. Same thing with like HVAC. You can't buy a furnace. Did you know that? You can't buy a furnace? You have to be a licensed HVAC person to buy a furnace. Isn't that weird? Though there was a guy selling them on the back of a truck at a Lowe's last weekend. It's weird. So weird. So what this is, it gives you a plan. So this is phase 1, and if you've been to our workshops, you can go online right now and watch our whole workshop on our 8 stages of the rehab. And it goes into detail of every single one of these phases. So it breaks them all down, tells you what's involved in each one of the scopes. And then you lay this out. So this is phase 1, and it's going to take 1 to 2 weeks. It's all these things. And then we go into phase 2. It's going to be 2 weeks. Right? And then phase 2. So it breaks it all down. It's not complicated, but it's something, right? It's something. Now you can take, if you buy a property from us, even if you don't want to sit down with the sales associate, they can give you that detailed scope, and you can take all those figures on there, and you can type it into this. So the pricing that's on there is based on what we see other investors get properties done for. It's what Andy knows he can get work done for. Because look, Andy's the one that finalizes every single house that we put out. Every single house that we put out, Andy physically goes out there and goes through the whole house, the whole thing, and confirms our acquisition associate's numbers and puts a stamp of approval on it and says, yeah, I know that I can get that job done for this price. So if you can't find somebody that can do the work for the price that we say, then we'll help you find somebody. You call Andy and he'll get you somebody. All right? If you buy it from yourself, if you buy the house on your own, sorry, you're probably screwed. I'm just kidding. All right, Andy's talked a little about scope sheets. This isn't really what this workshop is about, but we do a whole workshop just on this. But I wanted to at least touch on this just to show you what's involved in a scope sheet. Pen, paper, right? This is it. This is what we'd write down for a scope sheet. Now your contract's different, where it has like, okay, broom swept and all that, the terms of everything. But if I'm just giving them a to-do list of what I need them to do and what I'm going to pay them, this is it. So plumbing, roofing, hall, bath. I'm going to install the new tub and drain, install the shower body, remove the old sink and the drain, master bath, these things, kitchen here. So this was a plumber that we had hired as a sub. I said it should take 2 to 3 days. The price is $750. When you're done with these things, you get paid. So if you get it done in 2 days, you made $750. If you get it done in 3 days, you get $750. If you get it done in 1 day, still get $750, right? And it just makes it really, really clear. This is great for just weekly management of your jobs. I've seen people take these and they hang them on the wall. So they know it's done. Do you know where we got the idea from that? Other contractors. The guys who were running their jobs really, really well. Or the other rehabbers too. We'd go in, we're like, I got these things. What are these things on the wall? That's a checklist. It's pretty easy to make sure it's done, right? It's not complicated. It's really, really not complicated. So that's why I don't have a scope sheet. We give you free notepads and a pen. That's all you need. That's really all you need. You can download the contracts for free online to make sure that you're not going to get ripped off from the contractors. But this is it. It's as simple as this, is mapping all this out. Make sense? Good. Now, you'll notice on here, these are all divided up in weeks, and they pretty much stay with about 1 trade per week. If you've got a full-time job, it's not like, I don't even know, it's not like you see on TV where you got all these contractors coming and doing all this stuff. You typically want 1 trade at a time in there, 1 week at a time, so you know, okay, what's going on this week? All right, this week, demo. What do you have to worry about? Just the demo. You're checking in with 1 person. The only thing you're doing is lining up a job for the next week. That's it. So then the next week after that, installing the HVAC. And you know right on here when it's going to be happening. Week 2. That's the only thing you're worrying about. If you try to get too complicated, get all these people in here and do all this different stuff, it's going to not maybe go as well. So again, we just try to make something that's not that complicated, something that's pretty easy to use, and this is something that we've been using now for years. We've tried other things and they've kind of fallen off, but just the simple stuff works best. All right, so tying it all together, what's a plan and when? And this is something that you'll get a link tomorrow with our slides and everything, because I'm going to kind of flow through this next part real quick. But this gives you like what to do every single week throughout the project. This is definitely something you're going to want to get online for sure from the email you'll get tomorrow morning. So before you sign, that means before you close, you want to have before you sign to buy a house, you want to know what the projected profit is, what the rehab budget is, what the after repair value is, and what the days on market is for the property. And you want to make sure that it lines up with what you want to make. So we always forget about this. We get so caught up in the house. If you're buying a house from me, I want to know how much money do you want to make and when. It's part of your plan. Well, I would like to make at least $20,000. I would like to have a check in my hand sometime in June. Great. So we're going to find you a house that will line up with that. That's going to have a certain amount of work. I know how long it's going to take you to get that done based on your experience level. I know how long it's going to take you to sell that house based on the area. So if you look at one of our properties, you get a packet, you flip right through, you can see the rehab. We can tell you about how long that's going to take you. And you look at the days on market for the comps, so you get an idea of how long it's going to take to sell the house. And you back all that up to today. Make sense? So you need to know all that before you even go out and start looking at houses. So your purchase should evolve around your rate and goal and your time frame, not your gut. Act quickly or you'll get stuck with others' leftovers. So what I'm saying that is make a decision quickly when you do see a house that you want that lines up with your goals. Before you close then, so after you sign the contract before you close, you want to end up with a detailed estimate. You want a phased schedule. You want to have all this written down. You want a material list, and you want to have 2 weeks worth of those scope sheets. So you want to know this is what's going to happen the first 2 weeks of the job. The whole project, you want to plan out 2 weeks at a time. I'd make the same joke every month that yes, you don't know that in 45 days what you're going to be doing. So 2 weeks at a time. You've got, what am I going to do this week? What do I need to do next week? And then anything else should just be on 2 weeks. So when you're sitting at the closing table, you should know exactly what you're going to do in the first 2 weeks. You should have already called the dumpster company to have them out there. Electric should be switched over. Right? So this week, you're planning for next week, and you're overseeing the job that's going on this week. Right? During the rehab, you want to follow your phases. So you want to bid 2 weeks out. So you want to know that I've got contractors lined up for the next 2 weeks. Remember what I said? You call them this week to get them to look at the job, and then hopefully they can start the next week. You want to have your materials ready for 1 week out, and you want to have your 2 weeks of scopes. If you have this mapped out, it's going to make it a lot easier. Looking at this, do you think you could just do this on the fly, just by memory? No. See, a lot of times people get started, they just don't know what they don't know, right? And they just get started, and then they're like, this is crazy, and I don't know what's happening. Because they don't know it. They don't know. They have no idea. I remember the first time I saw a budget, it was like on my third house. I'm like, what's that? That would have come in handy those other 2 properties I did. But once you know it, then you're like, it's like, you can't live without it. So you always want to have 2 weeks of scope sheets ready, have your materials at the site for the next week. So on the weekends, that's when you're getting materials out there if you're buying the materials. So you want to get your bids for your subs that week for the next week that has a specific start date. And again, you're just dealing with 1 trade every week. So it's not like you're lining up 3 people for the next week. All right, then when you're finalizing the rehab, you want to make sure that 100% of the work is done before you pay them to your satisfaction. 100%. And they'll call you every name in the book and insist that this is how it's done. I just got a couple things. I promise I'll finish them. I just really need to get paid. Say, listen, man, just finish it up. I'll meet you tomorrow. I'll meet you on Saturday, right? It's fine. Just get it done. Just go out there and make sure it's all done. And again, it's just on that scope sheet, just make sure all those boxes are checked. That's all we want to do. Yes, the faucets can't leak. Sorry, right? Finalize. So be ready to jump in at the end, and you want to plan your listing and staging at the final part. So if you're going to have the property staged, which I highly recommend, get your listing ready. That's the part where you'll come and you'll come to the workshop, and I'll say, how's your rehab going? You'll be like, I'm almost done. And everyone tells me the same thing when they say they're almost done. How far out are they? 2 weeks. So it's always 2 weeks. They're like, 2 more weeks, and I'm done. I'm like, that's what you said last month at the workshop. And we have these every month, I think. But so make sure you're ready to jump in at the end. You get all that stuff finalized at the end. Make sure you're sitting down with your realtor to get the property figured out what you want to list it for. And guys, just because you went over on your budget doesn't mean you could sell the property for way more than everything else in the area. So be careful with that. All right. So visit Build Realty.net for resources, videos, and contractors. If you do need a contractor, you can request one. There's a form, and it says request a contractor, and you click right on it. You put in what you need. You can do a whole job, put it all in there, and it'll go to Andy. If you have bought a property from us, you're going to get higher billing than somebody who's not bought a property from us. But if you are doing a rehab that you didn't buy from us, please do come to us for contractors. We want to try to build up as many contractors as we can, and we need to have plenty of jobs to feed them to do that. So we'll refer contractors for your jobs as well, even if you didn't buy the property from us. So we want to thank you guys for coming out. Like I said, this is the last workshop of 2017. Really looking forward to seeing you in January. I think we're going to have a packed house again next year. So good luck with everything, and hopefully we'll see you over at Mio's. I do want to say one more thing real quick. If you're interested in our financing, and I didn't talk much about the financing tonight, but we do have financing available, whether you buy a property from us or for properties that aren't in our inventory. Credit does not matter. It includes the purchase price and the renovation costs of the property. It's a private loan, so it doesn't go on your credit report. It doesn't report on your debt to income ratio. If you're interested in that and you want to find more about how our financing works, Rachel is going to do a quick financing presentation in the training room right across the lobby from this, and it's going to start in about 3 minutes. That's when it's going to start. Everybody else, let's go over to Mio's and grab a drink on us. Thank you, guys.